name is Ryan Cam, and welcome to my faith-based movie month, where I'm going to be reviewing some movies that are either based on stories from the Bible or are faith adjacent. This is the month of Easter. I'm a Roman Catholic, so it's a pretty big deal. Now, I'm sure some of you are already thinking to yourself, is this going to be like some kind of sermon? It is not. In my life, I've encountered media that is aimed at religious folks that's just straight up bad. I will not name any names. Me and Post put some posters of some pretty egregious examples here. What I want to do with this is to highlight some movies that are either based on the Bible or are faith adjacent that I think are really good, and I think you all should check out as well, whether you are religious or secular or whatever you identify as. Regardless of how you feel about religion, I still recommend them nonetheless. And all throughout the month, I'm going to be reviewing some of my favorites in honor of Easter. So with that out of the way, let's kick things off with something that I've reviewed on the channel before, but I've been itching to revisit for quite some time. It might be one of my favorite movies of all time, Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur was released in 1959. It was directed by William Wyler. It is based on the book written by Lew Wallace, and it starred Charlton Heston as Judah Ben-Hur, a Jewish prince living in the time of Jesus. Through a witch hunt slash misunderstanding imparted by his childhood friend Masala, he is cast from his home and forced into slavery, where he finds himself in a Roman galley. Basically, he has to pilot the boat of a Roman bigwig. However, through a series of events, he ends up being essentially recruited or adopted, I've heard in certain reviews, by this high up Roman to compete as a chariot racer. And the movie chronicles Judah Ben-Hur's journey from losing everything to gaining it all back, and along the way, meeting Jesus. Like I mentioned, this movie is one that I have already reviewed before. It was actually number 100, the final review that I did of the AFI project. If you've been subscribed to the channel since the AFI project, I've got nothing but love and respect for you. Long story short, though, that was the tail end of a very long series, and I don't think I captured nearly the thoughts that I wanted to in that video. Like 2020 me or 2021 me definitely did not capture how I truly felt about that one. Doing research for this, I learned things about Ben-Hur that I didn't know when I first reviewed this. Like, for example, there is another movie named Ben-Hur that was released in the 1920s. And another thing I learned was that not only was this all practical, and I'll talk about why that is so cool in just a bit, but this was basically MGM's last chance. Through a bit of a It's a bit of a long story, but to make it very short, MGM made a lot of mistakes money-wise, and to top all of that off, they were suffering from a congressional act that basically said movie studios cannot own their own theaters. Like it was a whole Supreme Court case and everything. So MGM needed this to work or they were gonna go broke. It was one of the biggest movies of the time, so it definitely worked out. Charlton Heston starred in this movie around the peak of his career. He would go on to direct, or not direct, but he would star in Touch of Evil, directed by Orson Welles. And for a generation, he's known as, well, Taylor from Planet of the Apes.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Yes, that guy. But here, he gives a really good performance because the overall reason why I love this movie is that not just the fact that Jesus is in it, though it is pretty cool that they have Jesus here and they portray him how they portray him. The reason why this movie works is that you're going on this journey with Judah Ben-Hur, going from extreme wealth to poverty and gaining it all back again. However, not only does he lose everything and gain everything back, but he gains material things, but also he gains a lot of this stuff along the way. He starts out in one place and he goes on a really long journey, and it's all incredibly satisfying. He has a mother and a sister who, when he gets sent to slavery, they get sent to a leper colony. They're basically banished. And so when he loses everything, he legitimately loses everything. And the movie takes place in AD 26, basically over 2,000 years ago, or at least close to 2,000 on the nose. If you're going by, if this is in 2025 and this movie takes place in AD 26, so just at a at 2,000 years ago. So there wasn't technology like we have. There wasn't really any of the comforts that we know. Like ancient Rome was the thing, and if you were not part of the Roman Empire, you were pretty much nothing. But even then, that was a crapshoot because ancient Rome, they were pretty barbaric, even in their splendor. The point I'm trying to get at is that William Wyler did a great job of capturing the time period. Everything was practical, everything was built like on actual sets. The sea battles were legitimate sea battles. The chariot race is still awesome. There is not a single moment where you go, oh, okay, that's clearly fake. I mean, it's fake for the sake of it's a movie, so of course it's fake. But the movie does such a good job of making you believe that you just turn your brain off and you're like, this is just happening right in front of my eyes. Another thing that I found in my research that I just loved is that one of the assistant directors on this movie was a guy named Sergio Leone. I don't think I need to tell you who that is, but considering what Sergio Leone would go on to after this movie, considering that he was responsible for all of the retakes, considering the fact that he was responsible for shots like this, that does not surprise me in the slightest that Leone worked on this. And also, like I mentioned, Jesus does show up in this movie precisely twice. They limit the amount of exposure that they show of Jesus, but even then, Jesus, you only see the back of his head maybe twice. So he's there, but he's also not. But the movie does a great job of showcasing that when Jesus is there, you feel his presence. You see the back of his head. You see how people react to him. There's a Roman soldier who, when he goes to yell at him to not give Judah ben-hur water when he desperately needs it, when Jesus stands up, the soldier just doesn't say anything. He just silently backs away, like almost intimidated. And that was a great moment there, but it also was a bit of a full circle moment when Jesus gives Judah ben-hur water in his lowest moment. Jesus, in his lowest moment, the crucifixion, Judah ben-hur gives Jesus water, and in turn, that sort of full circle moment leads to a very genuinely satisfying ending, which I will not give away here. This movie is one that I would recommend to everyone to check out. It's old. It's from 1959. It's over 60 years old. It is very long. It's excluding intermission, honor act, and closing act is a 212 minutes, which is very long, I know, but trust me when I say it's worth at least one watch. I'm giving it an amazing grade, easily top 25 for me. Like if I ever do like a top 25, 50, 100 movies, Ben-Hur would easily be in the conversation. It's an epic film in every sense of the word. I would put it up there with the likes of Ten Commandments, Lawrence of Arabia, movies like that that just feel big and are big in every sense of the word, and it just is pulled off seamlessly. But I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of Ben-Hur if you have seen it? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to read what you have to say. And next Sunday I will be covering a true a true movie based on the Bible, and it's the story of Jesus himself. It's one of the many Jesus adaptations that came around in the 50s and 60s. It is King of Kings.